All right. Welcome to another edition of Inside Leadership. Today's guest is Dave Neill. Dave Neill, among other things, is the former president and publisher for Naples Daily News. I had the pleasure of working with him for 5 or 6 years when I was there, and great guy. Also, he's a photographer. He's since moved on up to Nashville, Tennessee. And Dave, just say a little bit about yourself. I know I covered a little bit, but fill us in on a lot of the stuff that I missed there.
Well, I started in the media business when I was very young. I was still in high school.
Okay.
And I started at the Detroit News in Detroit as a sports photographer's assistant. So from there, I worked in almost every facet of the business and ascended to president and publisher of 4 different brands and different markets, and have lived in a lot of different places, Arizona, Kansas City, New York City, Washington, D.C., the Carolinas, and Florida. And yeah, now I'm in Nashville. So it's been a journey.
Excellent.
A good one.
Good. You know, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask this question about Detroit, seeing as we just had a Super Bowl and Detroit's former quarterback, yep. Matt Stafford, seems to have a trophy now.
Yes, let's talk sports.
Do you have any comments on that?
I do. And I have said, so in my life, and I was born in Detroit, in my lifetime, the Detroit Lions have been nothing short of a disappointment since I was born.
Except for Barry Sanders.
Except for Barry Sanders,
yep.
Right? But as a team, they've been nothing short, in an organization, nothing short of disappointing. I was really happy to see Matt Stafford win the Super Bowl in his first year out of Detroit. And I think there are a lot of people that from Detroit who are celebrating like I am.
Excellent. Yeah.
Speaks to the organization.
Appreciate that. So Dave, what's one of the best investments that you've made, whether it was time, money, or anything else?
I think from a monetary standpoint, which I mentioned to you earlier, I think I made a couple of investments, real estate investments in Florida, South Florida, that the return on that was fantastic. Mm-hmm. From other time investments, I think you mean not just money, but maybe
it could be money. It could be anything.
Yeah, I think the other investment I have made throughout my career is to put time into networking and learning more about people that I don't necessarily know much about. And it's everyone from people I work with to people I meet in a community. And that has always paid huge dividends for me.
Okay.
So.
Excellent. So what's one quirk or odd thing that most people may not know about you?
Well, I don't know if it's a quirk, but I know people don't know. I am really a pretty good handyman, and I don't like to outsource services at my home.
Okay.
And so I am a maniac about painting and home maintenance and electrical work and plumbing and all that stuff. That's stuff I do that I don't tell a lot of people about because I'm afraid they might ask me to do work for them. So I keep it to myself.
You know, that I would not have guessed that.
There you go. There you go.
Yep. That's really interesting. And I think you were the first one to put the disinfectant gel outside of your office.
I had that on my. I did have that.
I know you did. Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's another little quirk.
Yeah, but a lot of people knew that one. So that was. Yeah. So what habit do you have that most positively affects your mindset?
Well, look, I mean, on a daily basis, and this has been now for years, on a daily basis. I like to be an early riser, and I have a routine every day. I write every day, every morning. I write, call it a journal, call it extracting my thoughts onto paper. I've been doing that for years. I've got stacks of notebooks, and I always use my reporter's notebook.
Okay.
And I've got about 20 years worth of those. So I write and meditate, and that's what I do every day. And it has helped me through turbulent times, and it has enhanced during good times. So I recommend that to everyone, and I remind my children who have watched me do this all these years that it's a good habit.
That is a habit to a T. Everyone I've talked to has, whether they've expressed it in this interview or not. Mm-hmm. Everyone. I mean, I have stacks and stacks of books that I write in. That
and you keep them. You keep them.
I keep them. That one was my daily success and to-do list. Yep. So for this year. So and it's like the night before, I write down what did I get done, what didn't I get done, and get up in the morning. So okay, what do I have to do on this list, and what can I push off? Because I find that there's generally one or two things that if you do them, everything else becomes easier. Yeah,
and it does. It brings peace. It brings calm.
Yeah.
And organization. So. I'm devout in that way.
I haven't got to the organization part. Just don't tell my wife; she knows. So Dave, what bad advice do you hear a lot in your profession?
Well, there's a lot of bad advice. Let's begin there. But I think that. I think in business, there's a term out there that's been out there for a long time now. And usually big companies, when you're inside of a big company, which you have been, and I know you've heard this term, when people live by best practices, that to me...
that's a Kool-Aid term, if I remember right.
That to me is first of all, it's a sign that perhaps your organization lacks creativity. But more importantly, what it is, it's more of a best practices can be defined as conforming to do things in a way that was discovered at a corporate office. And that doesn't necessarily, oftentimes doesn't necessarily contribute to a local business. And I think in the United States anyway, best from a corporate standpoint, best practices has not benefited companies as a whole, and local companies especially. So that's bad advice, I think, just to have someone decide that there's a right way to do something, call it a best practice, and try to implement that across an entire landscape is bad advice. I don't know if that answers your question.
No, it does very well. And okay. I'm snickering because I know exactly what you're talking about. I was there at least in one of those instances, so I completely understand.
Yes.
So.
Yep. So you know what I mean.
I know exactly what you mean.
Okay.
So Dave, what book or books do you most often recommend to people, and why?
I got to tell you, I'm not one to really recommend books, only to really close friends and family.
Okay.
And it's funny because I do the same with music. I'm a big fan of music and all genres. Always have been. I don't really recommend music unless it's someone close to me. But as far as books that I find inspirational or helpful, I love history. I love reading about other people's experiences. Whether they're famous historical figures or not, or less famous. Who doesn't like reading about someone's challenges and success? So, the latest for me, and it's not brand new, it's probably a year old book I read. It's about the former CEO of Disney, Bob Iger. And he wrote a book, something like it's a ride of a lifetime. And what a great story about an energetic guy, a smart guy who basically managed his way through corporate America and came to run, one of the most successful companies in the United States anyway, entertainment companies. So, that's one that there's a lot of things related to his habits and how he operates and on a daily basis, and then his ability to be a visionary. So, but as far as, I like some novels, some fiction, mostly history, but I'm not one to recommend books to people.
Okay.
Usually.
No worries. No worries. I like that. So what do you do? Last question. What do you do to reset or refocus when you find yourself a little out of whack?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I always literally step back, step away, step out.
Actually, I've seen you do that.
Yeah. You see me run away. But yeah, step away, physically step away and think. And I always, and especially lately, last several years, I like to get back to operating in the present and not necessarily worry about what just happened 15 or 20 minutes ago, but get back to the present, get back to the present and the future. And, that goes back to my morning routine as well, where I'll often reflect on that morning. My reset is to step away and get back to the present, operate in the present. And I have found more times than not that's really helpful, especially if you're in a situation, which, you've been, John, you get into a stressful situation where it requires being thoughtful to figure it out, and other people's either careers or their livelihoods are at stake. Stepping away and being thoughtful, and then getting back to the present and the future that's what I do.
Excellent. Dave, thank you. Do you have anything else that you'd like to add?
No, I enjoyed
Awesome.
I enjoyed reconnecting with you. So
It's been a lot of fun. I really appreciate your time today, Dave. Thank you very much. Again, we've been chatting with Dave Neill, former president and publisher of Naples Daily News, among other things. And you might be able to find him online at daveneill.com. And there's 2 L's in Neill. Thanks again for listening, guys. Have a great day.